I try to share the love when it comes to doing reactions to other channels and their videos. And I know that it's only a little while since I've done a reaction to this channel. But I have to say, I quite enjoy their content. They're just a really laid back couple who tell it as it is. And I have to say, they're pumping out some pretty good stuff at the moment. So I could have chosen one of several videos to do a reaction to, but I just felt like I wanted to do another reaction to one of their videos. So this time I'm looking at a video that they did, Australia versus the UK. There's shocking differences. I'm not sure if they are shocking. That said, I haven't watched all the way through. But what I saw at the beginning, I don't know if I'd call it shocking, but you be the judge.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We have got some differences again for you. We've had a little time to think while we've been on our deathbeds, and so yeah, we've got some differences between the UK and Australia.
And maybe at the end, if you're lucky, we'll give you some similarities.
So, first up, what should we pick?
Let's go from the top.
Right, so obviously driving to work and back, I'm sure you notice it as well, is the amount of utes over here, or utility vehicles, compared to the UK. In the UK, we kind of have
White vans.
little work vans and stuff like that, yeah, like the Ford Transits and the Volkswagen Caddies, whereas here there's a lot of four-wheel drive utes. So you've got, God knows, your Toyotas, your Mazdas. I think they're a lot more durable. Obviously, need to be over here because you've got off-road sections and stuff.
I guess there's also the fact that the ute is about as dinky-die as it comes. So the ute actually was created in Australia. I believe it was by Ford Factory, and it was after some farmer had written a letter to the Ford Factory, this is, back in the 30s or something, saying, it would be great to have something to cart goods to and from the market, etc., or something like that. There is a video somewhere in my playlist about it. So, we came up with the ute. We love our utes in Australia. But I hadn't actually thought about it. It's a good point that he made, that we would probably have a lot more off-road areas where people need their utes and four-wheel drives and stuff than you would in the UK. And I think too, possibly also because we've got much wider roads. You've got areas in the UK, like your regional areas, that have got quite narrow roads. So I would imagine that a small van would be far more practical than a big chunky ute. I think surely utes are far more convenient than a van anyway. But interesting observation.
So another great accompaniment here with your chips is chicken salt. Now, when we first come across chicken salt, we could not get enough. We do not have that thing in the UK, and it tastes so good. But having been here a year now, I could probably go in between.
What?
Yeah, like when they say, do you want chicken salt or normal salt? I would like to switch it up. Whereas for last year, it has just been chicken salt, but...
Just groundbreaking, everyone.
So are you just
chicken salt away now.
Okay, so anyway, it's good and we like it, but you don't get chicken salt in the UK, you just get normal, table salt. Not seen any vinegar. I love vinegar.
I love lamp.
So yeah, but I know there's some other countries I've travelled to that when you ask for vinegar, the States, I think.
They look at you funny.
They look at you funny if you ask for vinegar. I definitely wouldn't ask for vinegar here, but it's a thing in the UK.
It used to be a big thing here. You'd get chips and you'd ask for malt vinegar, or you'd ask for vinegar with them, and you'd get that malt vinegar with them, and you'd have them with salt. And I actually do quite enjoy them. It just does make them kind of soggy though. Now, someone needs to tell these guys that there is actually a British fish and chip shop on the Gold Coast. I think it was on the Gold Coast, isn't it? I did a reaction to a video a month or so back where a British couple actually went and had British fish and chips at this British fish and chip shop. Try saying that fast. And they had the brown vinegar there. And they also tried the chicken salt and decided that they liked the chicken salt better than the usual British spread. So you can get it if you are from the UK and you're hanging out for your malt vinegar on your chips. Probably worth checking around where you are, because it's quite possible that there just may be somewhere that does it. That said, my preference is chips and gravy, and I have to say, you just can't beat it on a hot, cold day to get these super crunchy chips with hot gravy all over them, with chicken salt on the chips, of course.
So also noticed is the kind of utilities over here. We've had our broadband, it's just a bit of a boring one, but it's just how fast you do things over here. So in the UK, you're normally tied into a contract, so your broadband would be for like a year or whatever. Whereas here, there's no tie-ins, probably maybe a month, I think, notice. And yeah, our deal was coming to an end. They're putting the price up, so done a little look around and found Dodo. Seen quite good, read reviews. So I was like, right, rang up who we're with, and they're like, okay, well, we can turn you off straight away. It's like, what? I was like, normally you might give like a month's notice or whatever.
I was in the middle of working at home.
So yeah, anyway, rang up Dodo, and they literally connected us within 20 minutes. Obviously, you had a bit of internet downtime. I didn't realise they were going to turn it off straight away. So that's a little heads up. It does happen quite instantly over here. And yeah, it's just how fast things are done like that over here as well. Like with no tie-ins. We've done that before with phone contracts. We've asked like, oh, what's the calling off period and all stuff like this. And they look at you a bit funny. Like, no, there's no contract or whatever.
I know, and we're always so suspicious. We're like, can you put it in writing? Like, we're used to obviously getting ripped off in the UK all the time, so...
Yeah, it's refreshing to have not getting ripped off over here.
Although, probably the downside, I'm not sure if that even still happens here, because I only have a mobile phone, I don't have a landline, and I ignore private calls, because you know it's going to be marketing. But, the downside is that in Australia, because there is so much flexibility in terms of phone carriers, internet carriers, etc., you get these marketing calls where they're determined to sell you their product and get you to switch to their brand of internet or their brand of telephone services, whatever. So I'm guessing that probably doesn't happen in the UK. But I guess, if it means that you don't have to be locked into a contract for, endless amounts of time, then that's probably a good thing. I think contract-wise, it's really only if you have like a mobile contract, presumably. I'm with Audi for my mobile phone, so I don't have like a contract. I just do a monthly top-up, basically have it scheduled to top up every month. But, no contract there. I can just get out of it whenever.
The next difference is regarding buses, and there's a few points here. So first of all, here it's the law to let buses out. In England, you don't have to give way to a bus, and a lot of people don't bother. I think it's really nice that you have to give way to buses here, and sometimes you'll get the odd flash of the hazards from the bus driver to say thank you, which goes hand in hand with my next comment regarding the bus drivers. So I don't think I've ever got onto the bus and the bus driver's not greeted me and said hello and been friendly, whereas in the UK, it's probably not just bus drivers to be fair, but everybody's very depressed. don't really say hello to you, keep head down. Like, yeah, it's not often that the bus driver would say hello to you and that you would say hello to the bus driver. Like, that just is not a thing.
And yeah, they like to have, sometimes they'll like have a little talk or they'll shout out things as they're driving along. Like, yeah, it's just nice to have someone.
Refreshing.
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, like I said, England, the bus drivers don't really care if they pull out. They just pull out if you're coming or not. Obviously, yeah, they're probably not getting let out, but yeah, over here it's nice to see that it is the law. Sometimes it's a bit, oh, I'm gonna make it past this bus if there's a car on the other lane and stuff. But yeah, it's a decent law, really.
Yeah, I know that in Tasmania, bus drivers are like that. They're super friendly. They greet you when you get on the bus, and you know it's commonplace that as you get off the bus, you say thank you. Try and give them eye contact if you can. I guess it's just the way in Australia. That said, I noticed the other week down in Melbourne, tram drivers just ignore you when you get on the tram. Maybe that's just because Melbourne is so busy that they don't have time anymore for just common courtesy. But I definitely noticed that getting on the tram driver was just eyes straight ahead, not even looking. I would have been screwed if I'd have needed to ask a question, I reckon, because I would have been ignored probably. The giving way to buses, I kind of just presumed that it would be something that was universal because it makes sense, especially school buses, when you have the flashing lights on them. It's not just giving way to them, but if a school bus is stopped and those lights are flashing, you've got to stop so that you're not going to accidentally run over someone's kid who comes running out from behind the bus. So I think probably we do have a good bus culture in Australia, and kudos to them for pointing it out, because I think I take it for granted. I just kind of presumed that that's what it would be everywhere else.
And as a subtopic, I even had a train conductor that would sing out the train stations as we stopped.
Well, that's actually super interesting, because on Victorian trains, the moment you leave one train station, there's an announcement comes over that tells you what the next train station is. And then usually there'll be an announcement as you're stopping at the train station to tell you where you're at. And then, of course, in between all that, you get the whole long, this is the such and such service, stopping at these stops, terminating at this place. So, I guess it's just different in different areas, I guess.
Like, everyone seems so happy and friendly here in their jobs, which, again, it's just so refreshing coming from the UK where everyone is just, miserable and...
Hates a job, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Even here, they tell you which side of the train station's going to be.
Now, I must admit, as a new Victorian, that is something that would be good. But that said, it seems that everybody else around me already knows which side the station's going to be at whatever stop the train goes to. You can just tell by the people that are standing at the door which door they're facing as to which side the station's going to be on. But yeah, you don't get that in Victoria. It's just like, it seems like every Victorian just seems to know, based on what track they're on, which side of the station they're going to be getting off.
So a little quirky change here is when we first came over, obviously you find something to eat, so you look for the apps, and that pops menu log. Looks the same as a app we have back in England called Just Eat. And you got like the song, somebody say Just Eat, and you get like famous people like Snoop Dogg and stuff joining the Just Eat. But menu log, we've not seen any fancy adverts over here, but it's just funny how it's the exactly same logo, but it's called menu log over here.
That's like Hungry Jack's though. Hungry Jack's is like the same logo as what we have in UK as Burger King. So,
Yeah, so there you go, a little quirky difference.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Everyone knows about Burger King and Hungry Jack, and that was just a copyright thing. You know, when you take a big chain to a country and the name of that chain already exists, you've got to rename your chain. But Menulog versus Just Eat, I had no idea whatsoever, but it sounds like the marketing is just the same. I'd be interested to know if there is a particular reason for them having different names, or whether they just thought that it was going to be a more acceptable brand in whichever country started it later, or whatever.
So obviously with eldest driving now, so we've got her to do her checks on her car, and air in the tyres is quite a big one. Obviously, do a lot of miles, and yeah, over here the air, well, most of the garages is free to use. In the UK, it used to be free to use a long time ago. Now they were charging 20 pence just to use a flipping.
so up to $1 just to get some air in your tyres.
Yeah, whereas here the machines are pretty much decent, well looked after, the ones we've been to, and they're free.
You're kidding me, right? You have to pay to put air in your tyres. How crazy is that? I mean, even if you use nitrogen in your tyres here in Australia, you don't pay for it. I've got nitrogen in my tyres. It's just a habit I got into from way back when I used to do lots of driving, because it preserves your tyres. They last longer. So if you're doing lots of long trips, it's definitely worth it. And basically you just pop into Bob James and get it checked every 6 months or so, and they don't charge you for it.
So, we were laughing the other day because we thought you Australians that are watching would be absolutely shocked if you knew about the banking situation in the UK. Now, here, banks are in abundance, in our opinion, coming from the UK. In the UK, we also used to have an abundance of banks. However, in the last, 5 years?
Yeah, right.
Gradually, we've seen all of the banks disappear from the high street. And literally, there's some like suburbs, we call them towns in UK, where there's not even like one bank in the whole town anymore. And people have to resort to using the local post office to do their banking. So, yeah, can you imagine a suburb here without any banks in it?
Can't go in and shout at anyone.
Can't go and get your statements. Like, you either have to call someone up in a call centre far away, or
App to sort some out.
yeah, like you can't speak to a person anymore. And yeah, obviously that's really sad, and we just come here and we see that it doesn't have to be like that.
No. Yeah, you've got plenty of banks, there's loads of banks here to choose from.
Yeah, and I wonder like what's going to happen next in the UK. Like obviously they're going to get rid of the post offices next, then how is anyone going to bank?
We do, however, have far fewer banks than what we ever used to, because most people these days do all their banking online, and even automatic tellers are becoming less needed because everyone just pays by card. You know, you transfer money online, you buy your groceries with a card. You know, a lot of people have their cards just on their mobile phone. So you go shopping, you don't have a big heavy handbag anymore, you're just carrying a mobile phone. So I think we're probably going to see Australia going down a similar route to the UK, but at the same time, I guess we probably will never quite reach that point where we have no banks. As for post office, I'm guessing that was just tongue in cheek, because you'll never get rid of the post office. That said, in the last 12 months here in Bendigo, you now have only particular days when there is mail delivery, which is, you know, something very, very new. It used to always be your mail was delivered every day, but of course these days, most of the time you're lucky if you get anything in the mail during the week. I think, most of my statements are all digital statements these days. So a lot of the time, anything that comes in my letterbox is probably spam.
And it's funny because we find here that this country seems to prefer cash over card. Like,
That was a weird one, wasn't it?
yeah, and we'll talk about that as the next difference, card surcharges. But in UK, you've literally been pushed to, like,
It's like being cashless pretty much. Isn't it?
yeah, get rid of cash and everything's electronic. So we really like having access to proper banks here, and don't really know why UK have done away with lots of employment and lots of customer service and flexibility for customers. It's really just quite shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one way of more control, I guess.
Okay, so it must be that the preference for cash over cards is different in different parts of Australia. Because I wouldn't say that around here there is any sort of preference for cash. I've never had that as a request. I have noticed that the surcharges for paying by card are getting ridiculous. But that's more of a greed thing rather than trying to encourage people to pay by cash. And I have to say, as someone who had a business back in the days before people paid by card, having to reconcile the till at the end of the night was always a nightmare. So I can't imagine why people would prefer cash over card.
So, talking about credit card surcharges, we were a little surprised and shocked to find that basically, if you use even your normal, like, you call it a savings account here, we would call it a debit card, that if you use that online or in a shop, you have to pay like a credit card surcharge. In UK, you would only pay a surcharge if you were using like an actual credit card where you were like borrowing money from the bank. You would never sort of pay a surcharge if you were using your savings, your current card. And yeah, like just paying for things online like your driving license,
Yeah.
it says you'll be charged a surcharge to use your card. Well, maybe you can pay cash in the...
The transport place.
Yeah, but there's just some things online, like you literally can't pay cash for it and you still have to pay that surcharge. So we just found that quite interesting.
Yeah. It definitely pushes you a bit more towards getting cash out and paying for things for cash. There was like some takeaway we were going to, and on a Wednesday you get a cheaper deal if you pay cash for some reason.
Yeah, and like in the nail salons, you get a discount if you pay cash. Like, yeah, it's obviously just a thing here, but we just wanted to explain that that doesn't happen in the UK unless you're using an actual credit card.
It might be because they're like a favour sorted to the machines you got to use. I think there's like a
Yeah,
they have to pay a
which is
charge.
why they, yeah, I guess they probably in the UK have to pay that too. So yeah, a bit weird.
Yeah, so there you go.
It actually worries me that there are more and more places that are whacking surcharges on when you pay by card. It's like ever since COVID, when it became the norm to pay by card and hardly anyone carries cash anymore, businesses have suddenly gone, here's a great way of making extra money. I grabbed some stuff from a chemist that I don't normally go to a while back, and even they added a surcharge. And I was just gobsmacked, and that was for a debit card. It was just unbelievable. And I know people say it's because you do the tap and go, but why should we be paying for the convenience of tap and go? Something needs to give. There needs to be changes made in terms of consumer laws here in Australia to protect consumers, because sooner or later we're going to be paying a heck of a lot of extra money in surcharges. It's going to be like a tipping culture, but in a country where a tipping culture is not warranted because wages are fair. You know, something has to give.
Loyalty cards, so when you go shopping, so over here you've got Flybuys and everyday rewards and stuff like that. So with Flybuys you kind of get money off fuel, and also like they do offers. I think Coles are quite good at the moment. They've got some kitchenware, so you spend so much, you earn so many points, and you can use it against. I think at the moment they got some Smeg knife
really
blocks
nice.
and knives and stuff like that. Whereas the UK ones, you've got Sainsbury's and Tesco's. All you kind of get with them is
You can save up 6 months and you've got like a £2.50 voucher.
they'll send a voucher through the post for like £5 off your shop, even though you spent God knows how much. Whereas like here you've got Flybuys, you can get money off petrol, which is quite good. You get like 4 cents a litre or something like that.
Yeah, and even like if you get petrol and BP, you can use your BP card and get Qantas points. We have BP and BP cards in the UK, but I think we saved up all year and
You can get like a voucher, like a
£10 voucher or
£10
something.
Amazon gift voucher or something.
Yeah, you can never get like air miles or anything like that with it.
Yeah, so like the loyalty cards over here are actually more rewarding.
Yeah, and
I
I feel like you can get loyalty cards pretty much in any shop. We've got loyalty cards for everything: free pies, free massages, free
Coffee shop. Yeah. Hold on, we just got someone wants to be in.
Oh.
She can't stay out of a video.
She's got FOMO.
Face it, without our canine friends, YouTube would be pretty boring. I know that on both my channels now, people tend to listen out for Amira's snoring, and I know that there has been plenty of that through this current video. In terms of loyalty cards, we really do have a lot of loyalty cards here in Australia. That said, I haven't really gained points in Flybuys or Woolworths rewards for quite some time, because ever since they started just continually hiking their prices up, I found that for me I can get the bulk of my groceries through our local IGA and Aldi. And aside from the odd thing here and there from Coles, most of the time I never even set foot in Coles and Woolies anymore. And the money that I save from going to IGA or Aldi, well and truly, is more than what I would have got in reward points for Woolies or Coles.
So yeah, I think we're rewarded very well as customers here.
A lot better over here than the UK.
Yeah. We just also wanted to share with you that we really appreciate all of the free entertainment in the shopping centres at special times of the year. So throughout the year we've seen lots going on in various different shopping centres, and all free, no charge, mainly for the kids. When it was the Ekka, they were giving away free show bags. We've seen a pirate show in the school holidays.
Ice skating.
Ice skating when it was Christmas in July.
Not real ice, but like a puppy.
Yeah, so you kind of would maybe find something in a shopping centre, like maybe there'd be a man blowing up balloons in the school holidays, but nothing like on the level that Australians do it.
I think we had some tacky Santa's grotto in our local mall, but yeah.
And you probably have to pay for that,
Yeah.
but like all of these things are free. And I think, you know, we also see all of the like really nice playgrounds. Like if our kids were a lot younger now, that would be so cool. Like playgrounds in England are like generally council funded and usually vandalised, yeah. But here there's so many like really fun, colourful looking playgrounds.
Nice and shaded, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think, you know, there's so much for the kids here, of all ages, and it's really nice to see that effort is made here.
Well, I'm just going to say, Bendigo is a rip-off. Yeah, they've got lots of cool things in school holidays and stuff, but what they were saying about there being a free ice skating rink for the school holidays there, Bendigo did that last a few school holidays back. Sometime this year they did a week where they set up a free skating rink in the mall. Not a free one, an ice skating rink in the mall. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, that would be just great to take kids to during the school holidays, because there's no ice skating rink here in Bendigo. But they were charging quite a lot of money, and it was like you had to pay a particular amount for a full hour, and you only got an hour, and then you would have had to pay more, and it would have been quite costly. If you had more than one kid, it's not something that you would be doing during your holiday, I'm pretty certain. But yeah, parks in Australia just seem to be getting better and better. I know the park at the lake near here, the kids section is just massive, and it has so many fantastic activities there now. You know, I wish parks were that good when I was a kid.
Yeah, so there you go. There's some differences.
Yeah, so we just wanted to let you know a few that we'd thought of, because we know you all love the differences videos. Let us know in the comments if you're surprised by any of them, or if you knew about any of them. If you also can think of any, let us know. And before we go, we just wanted to let you know about 2 or 3 similarities, and we just wanted to share them with you. Okay, so first similarity, unlike America where you have to pay for your fuel before you fill up the tank, here in Australia and in the UK you can quite safely fill up your tank and be trusted that you'll go in and pay afterwards.
I love seeing the reactions of Americans when they find that out, because it seems to be something that for Americans is just inconceivable, that you're actually allowed to pump your fuel before you even pay for it. Whereas here it's just the opposite. You pump your fuel and then you go pay for it. Of course, the thing that American fuel companies probably haven't realised is that they're losing it on money. Because here in Australia, unless you remember to press the button on the fuel pump, then you may end up putting in more fuel than what you intend on putting in. But presumably, if you go and pay for it at the counter in America and then go out and pump the fuel, the pump's going to stop the moment you reach what you've paid for, and it's not going to keep going. So that's where fuel companies are probably losing out a little bit in America.
Another similarity is, so yeah, we've got Aldi in the UK as well as over here. Pretty much the same kind of layout and stuff. Although I've noticed they didn't have Aussie Day over in the UK, whereas over here sometimes you get the UK Day.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but it's not just that we have like a week where suddenly there's all these things from the UK. They seem to go through various nationalities. So, you know, there'll be a time when there's all American foods there, which is great, because then they have Reese's Pieces, which are so hard to get here in Australia. And Danish stuff, which is convenient because it allows me to buy Danish licorice for my brother. Like, gross, but he loves it. So I wonder if what they mean there is that they just don't have like a week where they sell Australian stuff, because surely they must have like times when they're selling American stuff and stuff from other areas in Europe. I'm really curious to find out now.
The other store that we also have in UK that you have here is IKEA, which is obviously from Sweden.
So our final one is the love of cheesy TV. So in the UK you've got like EastEnders, it's a good old soap, and over here you've got Home and Away, I think, still going. What else have they got?
Is Home and Away going still in UK?
I think so, yeah.
And Neighbours?
Not sure about Neighbours. Go on, don't watch out for them.
If you're from UK and you're watching, let us know if Neighbours is still on in UK. But yeah, reality TV shows as well. Love Island, Married at First Sight.
Got their own separate ones, haven't they? So you got Love at First Sight Australia and the UK one.
Well, yep, that was another great video from the Great Emirate. I do like their style. You know, they're not flashy, they're just regular people who they're regular people. No gimmicks, they tell it how it is, and they're genuine. And of course, anyone who's got a dog who drops in on their videos always is a winner with me. I apologise for the differences in lighting. I found that their original video was a little bit dark, so I lightened it up, but because I was pausing in between and adding my own comments, the way all that works in InShot meant that then when the spots where I was pausing to do my own comments, the screenshots that I was using were then being lightened again. So that was all my fault, nothing to do with their channel. Although that said, it was a dark video to start with, so you can always, if you feel inspired, if you like these guys, they do actually have a link on their channel for Buy Me a Coffee, so you could always pop over and buy them a coffee or two so that they can purchase a ring light for their channel so that they can brighten up their videos a bit. Just a thought. I will say if I get enough views on this channel, I might just pop over and do Buy Me a Coffee for them myself. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. Definitely interesting hearing the differences, and I'm glad they did throw in a couple of similarities at the end, and I'm going to be looking out for more of their videos like this because I just think they're really good. So thanks for listening. If you're new, please subscribe. Also, please hit the like button, you know YouTube loves that, and leave your thoughts below. What are your thoughts on this video? Do you enjoy this couple? Are you subscribed to them? Are you considering going over and subscribing to them? Was there any one thing that particularly stood out from what they were saying? So, thanks, and I'll catch you in the next one.